The Renaissance's Renaissance man and the polymath's polymath, Leonardo da Vinci was a man of many talents, to say the least. It's odd, given his modern-day reputation for turning out unrivalled masterpieces, that he didn't rate painting prowess his biggest asset. In 1482, aged 30 and looking for work, he penned a resume and sent it to Ludovico il Moro, Duke of Milan. In it, he listed reasons the Duke might want to hire him. Reasons including his ability to engineer bridges, fashion attack-proof boats, and manufacture covered chariots, to bombard heavily fortified installations with guns, mortars, and light ordnance of his own design, to match the architectural prowess of any contemporary, and to guide water from one place to another. All this came ahead of point number 11 on his self-proclaimed list of talents, where in a throwaway paragraph he briefly mentions that I can do in painting whatever may be done, as well as any other. That's right, the person who gave us the Mona Lisa, the Last Supper and the Salvator Mundi, not to mention the world's most famous depiction of a human male, the Vitruvian Man, reckoned he was best put to work in the field of construction. But despite his best efforts, history, in its immutably quirky fashion, placed Da Vinci's legacy squarely in the realm of art. This despite his habit of leaving paintings unfinished, much to the annoyance of his patrons who included Caesar Borgia, the Medici, and King Francis I of France. And the fact that fewer than 20 of his paintings survive to this day, with many so heavily restored that his hand is barely discernible in amongst all of the touch-up work. So it's regretful, to say the least, that one of the great master's incomplete works is rumoured to be lost in plain sight. A work so remarkable that if discovered and successfully recovered intact, it might just become the world's most valuable piece of art. The Lost Battle. The Battle of Anghiari was, and perhaps still is, a giant fresco commissioned in 1505 by the Republic of Florence to decorate the Salon di Cinquecento, or Hall of the 500, a grand 52-metre chamber in Florence's town hall called the Palazzo Vecchio. The subject of the painting was a historical battle which took place in 1440 between Florentine and Milanese forces, hundreds of years before the unification of Italy put such regional squabbles to bed. It was meant to depict Florence's military triumph and to celebrate the successes of the Republic. At 54 feet by 21 feet, the picture was in all senses a huge undertaking, and, some might say true to form, Da Vinci quickly began to lose interest after experiencing a series of technical setbacks. Instead of a traditional fresco, where pigment is bound to fresh plaster using ground-up stone or earth mixed with lime, Da Vinci experimented with oil and wax, a combination which caused the colours to run before drying. He abandoned the partially ruined work, yet still for many years it adorned the east wall of the Palazzo Vecchio's statement hall opposite an equally unfinished Battle of Cassina begun by none other than Da Vinci's contemporary and boss-level rival, Michelangelo. Though far from the finished article, what was viewable of the Battle of Anghiari drew acclaim. The most famous central part of the piece, a ferocious cavalry charge with horses and men clashing fiercely, was considered a masterful composition that vividly depicted movement and violent energy. But sadly, by the mid-16th century, the fresco had deteriorated sufficiently to prompt a rethink. Cosimo I, then Duke of Florence, ordered a complete restructuring of the Hall of the 500 and commissioned Giorgio Vasari to replace the Battle of Anghiari with a depiction of the Battle of Marciano, which had taken place a decade or so before between the Republic of Siena and a triumphant Duchy of Florence. Both the battles of Cassina and Anghiari were now lost. Cassina is thought to have been destroyed in 1512 by also-ran painter and Michelangelo hater Baccio Bandinelli. There is no record of what happened to Anghiari, nor to the cartoon sketch preparation which would have formed its basis, nor even many of Da Vinci's preparatory doodles. All that remains today are copies portraying the central scene of men and beasts raging in war, the most famous of which was painted by Peter Paul Rubens 100 years after the original. This depiction is itself a copy of an engraving made in 1558, making even this great work a mere Chinese whisper of Da Vinci's own. Rubens' copy of a copy is priceless, but such is the allure of the Battle of Anghiari, the versions by nameless contemporaries have fetched valuations approaching $1 million in today's money. This, even though experts cannot prove that any of the copies came direct from studies of the original. Seek, and you shall find. That should have been the end of the story. Just another lost Da Vinci, the Battle of Anghiari might well have been condemned to be forever referred to in the past tense. But then came a twist, or better yet, a clue. When Giorgio Vasari painted his own masterpiece, a battle scene with rival armies clashing, over the top of Da Vinci's, he printed a tantalising message in small capital letters on a Florentine soldier's standard. The message reads, Cerca trova, or he who seeks, finds. Words seemingly completely out of keeping with the painting's main narrative. So why did Vasari include them? one possible reason stands head and shoulders above all others. Rather than destroy Da Vinci's unfinished masterpiece, Vasari created a false wall of plaster to protect it and painted onto that, entombing the Battle of Anghiari for future generations to discover. Lending weight to this theory is the fact that Vasari has fallen. In 1568, Cosimo I commissioned him to upgrade the Santa Maria Novella, a Florence church, including redecorating an area where a fresco called the Holy Trinity by highly respected master Masaccio was painted. Vasari, being a thoroughly good bloke, left the fresco intact behind a new altar and screen, upon which he painted his Madonna of the Rosary. Could he have done the same with Anghiari? A leading proponent of that theory is Maurizio Serracini, an expert in the analysis of art and architecture who employs adapted medical and military techniques to investigate pieces without damaging them. Using high-frequency radar and thermographic photography, Serracini discovered that the Battle of Marciano had been painted on a curtain wall constructed between 1 and 3 centimetres in front of the original. In 2011, Serracini's team was granted permission to drill tiny holes into the restored parts of Vasari's painting, into which a tiny camera was fed, revealing fragments of pigment on the inner wall with a chemical composition similar to that found on other Da Vinci works. But the investigation was discontinued soon after, owing to the controversy of tampering with Vasari's masterpiece, as well as disagreements over the likelihood that Anghiari could still be in a space behind it. Even the meaning of the message Cerca Trova is disputed, with killjoy researchers arguing that it relates to the writings of Dante, not an allusion to Da Vinci. Worse still, in October 2020, a group of art historians concluded that Anghiari will never be found, because it never existed in the first place. The painting techniques planned by Da Vinci simply could not have worked, they said. According to a spokesperson for the group, since the process to prepare the wall was not successful, Leonardo never painted on it. This means Leonardo's battle existed only as a cartoon, never as paint on a wall. But even without a drop of pigment, the original cartoon would be a priceless addition to the Da Vinci anthology, giving art lovers a substantial upgrade to the preparatory sketches that survive to this day. The faintest possibility that remnants of the famed work sit mere centimetres from what is observable is enough to grip art historians. But, with the only way to solve the mystery, a terrifyingly risky and expensive project to move Vasari's painting, it's likely that we'll be kept guessing for the foreseeable future. Until then, the Battle of Anghiari will remain the Schrodinger's cat of the art world, an unanswerable question and one of history's most tantalising clues. If you enjoyed that story, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel and say something nice in the comments. And if mystery is your thing, check out The Legend of the Devil's Footprints or an explanation of why aliens don't, yet, walk among us. Until next time, thanks for watching. Penned a resume and sent it to Ludovico Il Moro to Ludovico. Ludovico